Howdy, guys, and a great Saturday morning to y'all, and welcome to Cliff Notes from somewhere outside the Big Brother house. We're covering Celebrity Big Brother overnight feeds. I'm going to try to give 15, maybe 20-minute little recap of what happens every night, but I'll also do a very quick refresh of the episode itself. Man, we're already through episode 3 of Big Brother. Going so fast when you're only playing for 3 weeks. Episode 3 is in the books, and we're on night number 10, I think, of the overnight feeds. I hate losing the first week of live feeds. First week in the house, we didn't have live feeds, but they're back now, and so welcome aboard. So real quick, let's talk about what happened in the episode itself before we go on to the overnight feeds themselves. Misha is the HOH. She originally put up Mari and Carson on the block. Mari was the primary target of those two. Carson most definitely a pawn. We see that Misha and Todrick have already agreed to a final 2 deal with each other. Of course, Todrick's agreed to alliances with, I think, just about everyone in the house except for Todd and Lamar, because as he said, they were sleeping the whole time. But he's got a final 2 with Misha. They seem very tight at this point in time. Todrick's already making some moves. He's kind of whispering and suggesting that maybe Carson's too powerful, needs to be gone after. So we'll see what develops with that. But Misha's seeming like she wants to go after Mari instead. A little upset that Mari spilled the beans to Teddy, that Misha was coming after Teddy. Lots of target-rich environment in this house right now. But that's what we had going into the veto competition we saw last night. A logic puzzle. I love logic puzzles. Why didn't I have one of these during my season? I would have dominated. Fun game to watch. As a viewer, sometimes a little difficult to keep up with exactly what's going on. They competed one at a time. As a participant, would have been a lot of fun. A little tough to watch as a viewer, but still a lot of fun. The end result, winner of the veto competition from last night's episode, is Carson. I don't think Carson needed it. Yeah, he was on the block, but he was an absolute pawn. But that doesn't mean he isn't going to be quick to pull himself off the block, and he does just that. Carson is safe. Misha gets her wish. She replaces Carson with Teddy, who is her primary target to begin with. So we've got Teddy and Mari on the block. But we're not done yet, because we still have this old gala box and the hat, the purse or whatever, that gave safety to Cynthia, but now it's got the curse that Julie mentioned. They play another hat game. They pass a hat from one person to another. The last person with the hat becomes a new nominee. Turns out that it's Todd Bridges is stuck with the hat. He's the new nominee. He has to pull one of the 2 nominees off the block and take their place. So he chooses between Mari and Teddy. I think understanding that Teddy's the primary target, or the bigger target, he picks Mari to come off the block. So it's Todd versus Teddy. And in a vote of 5-3, a little closer than I thought, but in a 5-3 vote, Teddy goes home. Didn't seem like she necessarily had support of a lot of the house. Seems like out here in the fan world, there are a lot of people that weren't real happy with Teddy. I don't know, legacy of being on Housewives and all that, but I think there's a lot of viewers that maybe were okay with seeing Teddy go as well. The fact that she came in second place in the first HOH competition also meant that people saw her as a potential competition threat. So at the end of it, as much as she didn't want to be the first house guest gone, that's exactly what happened. Teddy's gone. We're down to 10 players, and we only have 19 days left in the season. It goes so fast. All right, let's talk about the overnight feeds themselves and what happened. We got the feeds back right after the episode was over. That's good. Of course, we lost them after just a few minutes, but we lost them because they were having the HOH competition. So that's okay. It's a shame we didn't get to watch the HOH competition, but that happens sometimes. Sounds like the happens a lot of times. The HOH competition sounds like it involved some sort of event about rolling balls up a ramp, rolling them into giant potatoes that had different scores within the potatoes. I'm picturing a skee ball type competition where you roll a ball down the lane and somehow they got potatoes laying around at the end of it. Every house guest took turns rolling a set number of balls at the end. It sounds like you could lock in scores or roll another ball at some point. Whoever had the most cumulative score wins the entire competition, called Rotten Potatoes. There's the name of your first competition, I think, based on their shirts. Anyway, the winner of the competition is Chris Kirkpatrick. Chris wins the first or the second HOH competition, his first one. I was excited for Chris. I'm excited to see him get his golden moment. He talks several times throughout the evening saying, yeah, I'm glad I'm HOH. I'm glad I'm safe. I'm glad I've got a little power. But the most exciting part about winning is I know my family was home watching or will be home watching the episode and so excited to see me win. I get it. I get it, Chris, completely. I felt that way when I won the battle back and then the HOH later that night. As great as it was, I got to stay in the game and everything else. It was envisioning my family sitting at home watching me win those competitions that really got me enthused and fired up. So congratulations to Chris Kirkpatrick. He is the HOH. Now let's see what he does with the power itself. So a few conversations that we see happening after fairly soon after we get the feeds back after the HOH. We've got Shayna talking to Todrick. Todrick is telling her that Todd Bridges had said to him that if he had won HOH, he would have put up Cynthia, or that was his plan, since Cynthia was one of the 3 people that voted to evict Todd. So he's got a little bad blood with Cynthia just based on that, and they're just not seeming to gel together so much. So Todd wanted to win and put up Cynthia, but he also says that after he saw Chris's score, I don't know if it's because he thought he was safe or because he thought there wasn't any chance in the world that he could beat Chris's score, but he says at that point, he felt safe enough to throw the comp. Well, throughout the whole evening, there's a lot of people making fun of Todd Bridges' score. Apparently, he didn't do so well. He locked in very low scores, and probably it sounds like he may have come in last place. Todd Bridges, comp beast, he isn't. At least not yet. Maybe he'll surprise us on down the road. But we do hear maybe a little friction between Todd and Cynthia at that point. Todd seems like he's not really playing a lot of strategy game. He's just so far kind of trying to work with the house and vote the way the house works. And that's about the extent of his strategy so far. Now, we've got Todrick and Shayna talking, but we also have up in the gym while Chris is waiting for his HOH room to open up. He's in the gym working out a little bit, and he's talking to Todd Bridges up there. And he tells Todd that, yeah, he's HOH, but he's really not thinking that he wants to make a big move this week, that maybe he wants to see more what the house thoughts are, who they want to see gone, and maybe he'll go along with that. He doesn't want to make big moves. I get it completely. Yeah, I know there's already going to be whispering. We've had Todrick kind of whispering that maybe it's time for Carson to go. He's too big a threat. Chris doesn't necessarily need to be doing the dirty work with other people. He seems like he's on good terms with a lot of people. So if he can get at people that maybe aren't working directly with him, but also aren't going to be the kind of targets that create a lot more blowback for Chris, it seems like the safe way to go. And so he's telling Todd, saying, yeah, I don't care about making a big move. We'll just kind of see what the atmosphere of the house is itself. I think it's smart. I think that's a good approach at this point in the game. Seems like everyone likes Chris. I don't think that we'll talk about that in a second because there are a little bit of issues apparently earlier, but I think that's a safe approach. We've got Cynthia telling Chris Kirkpatrick, all right, now here's the thing. We need to see either Chris Kirkpatrick or Chris Kattan go home because I'm tired of having to say Chris Kirkpatrick every time. I just need to say Chris. So not that against either one of y'all guys, but some decisions have to be made here somewhere down the road. But Cynthia is telling Chris Kirkpatrick that she's going to stay loyal to the people that she first aligned with. She's pretty brutally honest. She tells Chris, says, they approached me. We got this initial alliance. They're the first ones that approached me. I'm just not going to just turn my back on them right now. And Chris is saying, nah, I get it. And sometimes when you're so honest, it creates a little bit of a trust, even if you're on opposite sides. Just the fact that you're honest with someone else sometimes creates a little trust and loyalty even between those people. And I think we see a little bit of that right now. Now, sometimes it can backfire on you, but she's being pretty honest, saying that they're the people that got me first, and I'm sticking with them, Chris. And so he says, that's fine. She even tells him at one point, she says, yeah, when I had that hat, I thought about giving it to you and kind of getting you stuck with it, but I didn't. So they're having that conversation. She's also telling Chris Kirkpatrick all about, again, this first alliance that she joined and everything. And she mentioned something, and I've got to do some more research. She says that, yeah, Todrick was in there with us originally, but he's kind of bailed. Has he? I'm not real sure what that statement meant. I thought that Todrick and Cynthia were pretty tight. I think they are. But maybe not so much. We got Chris, and really when you get down to it, it seems like Cynthia I have a hard time. Sorry, Cynthia and Carson probably are the tightest of group right now amongst that little original alliance itself. We've got Misha talking about, now this is interesting, not a lot of gameplay, but just kind of reminding us that, yeah, they're celebrities, but they're also real people with all kinds of stories. Misha's talking about living in an RV when she first started trying to come up through MMA. And then we get Chris Kirkpatrick talking about the fact that he actually was homeless for a while in high school, living in an orange van, if I remember him saying. Then they moved into a extended stay hotel for a while. And then eventually he spent the last 2 years of going to high school while living in a shack behind someone else's house that didn't have plumbing, just had an outhouse. It's amazing. People can start in such difficult situations and do so many things in this world, in this country. So props to him. Again, it's interesting just to hear that, these celebrities weren't always celebrities. At one point, they were struggling and fighting and doing everything they could to succeed, just like the rest of it. So it was kind of a cool story to hear. One thing, during the conversation, I discovered that this house has food recipes, that apparently someone laminated a bunch of recipes for them to use throughout the season. We didn't have any recipes during my season. They were just left it up to whatever you know how to cook, you know how to cook. I knew how to cook macaroni and cheese. I figure I could survive if I had to. Of course, we had a couple of guys in the house who cooked up big old steaks, size of your head and all that. So we did okay. But yeah, they got food recipes. That was kind of interesting. All right, we've got another conversation. Chris has been talking off and on a couple of times throughout the house about the Teddy situation, air quotes, Teddy situation. It sounds like Teddy maybe tried to claim that Chris had sworn not to vote against her, and against Chris Kirkpatrick, that Teddy tried to claim that Chris had sworn not to vote against her, but he says he never promised anything. He just said, he was that they were cool or something. I know. Apparently, she tried to kind of guilt trip him into feeling guilty and maybe holding on to him, and he still sounds a little upset at that. But because of the Teddy situation, he tells Cynthia and Carson, says, look, y'all are safe. I'm not making any promises. Because of the Teddy situation, I'm not making any more promises or making any promises, but y'all are safe. I'm just not promising anything because you never know, but y'all are safe. So it's interesting. Chris, even though Cynthia and Carson are kind of on the other side, he's doing everything he can to stay on good terms with everyone in that house and make sure that he doesn't have a lot of blood on his hands, that he doesn't become a primary target based on anything that he does this week. Now, as far as this situation, Chris, it seems like maybe there was a little bit more drama surrounding Chris that I haven't even figured out yet. Apparently someone referred to him as being kind of creepy and all that. I don't know. That's the problem when you don't have the live feeds and you lose so much of the conversation. But later in the evening, Shayna makes a mention to Chris, says, how great is it that you're the HOH? Just a day or two ago, you were almost out of the game. And Chris says, I was out of the game. So I don't know exactly what's happening. I'm looking forward to finding out. All right, a couple of other quick conversations. Chris is telling Kirkpatrick. Chris is telling Carson a lot of the same things he told Cynthia earlier, and a little more of the same conversation about the alliances and working together, and they're not the targets and all of that. Again, I think Chris is doing a great job of keeping the other side friendly, not making himself a target after his reign. We've got Lamar and Todd Bridges talking about space, talking about Todd being a gymnast, and Lamar's not buying it. Lamar calls Todd the most interesting person in the house. They have a long conversation while Todd's in the shower about going to space. Todd wants to. Lamar has no desire to. Lamar would have a hard time fitting in one of those spaceships, right? But aliens would certainly be interested in talking to Lamar. But anyway, these two guys, strategy-wise, game players, not sure they're quite there yet. Not sure how much experience they have with, well, I'm pretty sure I know how much experience they have with Big Brother. But they're kind of fun when they talk together. It was fun watching that conversation. So they're talking about space and all kinds of things not related to the game itself. But speaking of Lamar and Todd, we've got Chris Kirkpatrick and Shayna in the backyard, I think in the backyard, talking about Lamar running Todd or Todd running Lamar. They're not really sure who's controlling who, but they recognize that the two of these guys are pretty tight with one another. It doesn't matter. I don't think anyone's going to waste their HOH trying to take out Todd or Lamar necessarily, because they aren't seen as any kind of threat whatsoever. I think the two of them are going to last for quite a while. Give them a 3-week season. It is what it is. But I think they're going to last through the cycles quite a bit until finally, just because there's no other targets left, they'll get thrown to the wolves without anyone worrying too much about it. But yeah, they're saying, yeah, Lamar runs Todd or Todd runs Lamar, something like that, which is interesting. Now, Shayna also told Chris that there's an athlete group alliance, which I kind of thought that Chris Kirkpatrick was part of that little athlete alliance, but she's telling him, so yeah, there is. I guess she's just kind of confirming. But here's probably the biggest crux of the entire overnight feeds to keep in mind, to talk about throughout the day, is this, that Chris is thinking about who he wants to put on the block. And he actually mentions that he's thinking about putting up Mari and Todrick. Todrick, one of the early season picks, is the winner pick. He's thinking about putting up Mari and Todrick, but he also at the same time says, but I'm thinking it may be too early to take out Todrick also. So there's certainly some indecision at play as far as what he's going to do. But he's also saying, look, here's the thing. Todrick and Misha are both part of the Athletes Alliance. They're working together. They're working with us. He says, but Misha's done a lot more for us than Todrick has. He said Misha has worked with us. Todrick hadn't done anything for us yet. So of the two, he's certainly much more inclined to go after Todrick. He mentioned, he said, yeah, Misha, we're tied. I'm still going to work with her, but things change. It is what it is. So sounds like Mari and Todrick, whether Todrick's the main target or not, I don't know. We'll see. And things do indeed change. But at least that's his consideration right now. Now, remember, Misha and Todrick, they're a tight final two. They continue to talk to each other. I think they're probably as tight as anyone in the house. Todrick and Misha, Cynthia and Carson, maybe, and I guess Todd and Lamar. We'll throw that in as well. Some of the tightest groups maybe that you're seeing in the house right now. Shane is telling Carson and Cynthia, that's interesting. She tells Carson and Cynthia that Chris Kirkpatrick really doesn't like Misha and Todrick and Mari telling him how to run his game. So you're starting to see some battle lines drawn between these different groups, and we'll see how it pans out. But I thought that was interesting. Lamar and Carson are in the candy room. Lamar is amazed that the jury gets to pick the final winner. He's saying, well, losers shouldn't get to decide whether I win or not. Why should the losers get to pick at the end of this? How much of Big Brother does Lamar really know or not know? Is he kind of playing a little less knowledgeable right now just because that's his shtick while he's in the house? Or does he truly not really understand the rules of Big Brother? I'm tending to think that it may be the latter, but he's got to be fun while he stays in the house. All right, we've got Chris Kirkpatrick in the HOH room. We didn't get to see his house, the reveal of his HOH room, which is disappointing. It happens all the time, even in the regular season, but we didn't get to see it. He's disappointed that he didn't get to yell, "Who wants to see my HOH room?" He is a true fan. I'm going to be cheering for Chris Kirkpatrick just because it's obvious that he loves the game of Big Brother. I'd be upset if I didn't get to yell that out to everyone else as well, but he didn't. He didn't get his to yell that little iconic statement, but he did get his HOH room. We see a little bit later in the feeds, he's reading the rules. He's disappointed that he doesn't get to keep his HOH robe. I agree. What a cool way. Come on, Big Brother. I want HOH. You should have sent me an HOH robe in my goodie bag after the season, but they didn't, and he won't get it either. But they are available for purchase on CBS. I'm not shilling, I'm just saying. But now he doesn't get to keep his robe, but he does get to listen to music. He's up there dancing away a little bit by himself while he's listening to apparently Lil Nas X is who he picked as his musical choice for the week. So congratulations to Chris for winning HOH. I'm excited for the guy. I truly am. I want to see what he does with his picks. Finally, we get Todrick and Lamar in bed. Todrick's complaining that it's cold, asking Big Brother if they can turn off the air conditioning. Meanwhile, Lamar is complaining that it's hot and he's miserable. At the end of the day, no one sleeps too comfortably inside the Big Brother house. In my case, I always felt like it's way too hot, but no one sleeps comfortably in there, except maybe for Todd Bridges. But now they're trying to get to bed. Eventually, they do get to bed. I think everyone is in bed by 2:30 Big Brother time. Plus or minus. So there you have it, guys. One of the first full nights of overnight feeds after the eviction. We're starting to see some gameplay coming into play. It's going to be a quick season, but that doesn't mean it still won't be exciting. So I'll be trying to keep up with these overnight feeds every night. So I'll see y'all again tomorrow. Guys, y'all have a fantastic Saturday. Enjoy your weekend. Until Sunday morning, SKD 143. Talk to you then, guys. Cheers.